Please subscribe. I really want to get my first 100 subscribers. Thank you. The first time I noticed she was staring at me like I was a stranger was outside a coffee shop on High Street. The kind of place where the menu has 3 different words for small. She had a paper cup in one hand and that blank look in her eyes like her brain was buffering. Brooke didn't say hi right away. She just looked me up and down like she was trying to remember where she'd seen me. "You look different," she finally said. Different. Like I'd switched phone cases. A laugh almost came out, but it stayed in my throat. Not because I was sad, because I knew exactly what she meant, and it wasn't the haircut. "Morning to you too," I replied, stepping to the side so a guy in a winter hat could squeeze past us with his dog and his existential dread. Brooke took a sip, blinked, then tried again. "I mean, you look good." There it was. The little correction. The recovery attempt. "Thanks," I said. "Coffee's still doing coffee things, I see." She half smiled. The smile didn't stick. And right there, with traffic humming and people rushing like they were being graded on walking speed, my brain did that thing where it plays the highlight reel in reverse. Not the romantic parts. Not the "we met" and fireworks parts. The practical parts. The parts that should have been a warning. Because if you're listening to this thinking, okay, she dumped him, he leveled up, classic dash, just know the actual story isn't about glow-ups or winning. It's about how expensive freedom gets when you've been charging it to someone else's time. And I didn't even realize how deep it went until the day she slammed my apartment door and tossed a sentence over her shoulder like it was trash she didn't feel like carrying. "You're getting in the way of my life," she said. Not "this isn't working." Not "we want different things." Not even "I'm unhappy." Nah, just me, apparently, standing in the middle of her life like a couch she was tired of walking around. At the time, I nodded like she was talking about an old bookshelf. If I'd known what came next, I might have nodded even harder. Brooke and I live in Columbus, Ohio. Nothing glamorous, nothing tragic. A normal city with normal people who complain about potholes and swear spring is coming every February like it's a religion. We weren't a dramatic couple in public. No screaming in restaurants, no throwing drinks. We looked like we had it together. The kind of couple your aunt would point at and go, "See? They're doing it right." The trick was, in private, doing it right meant I did a lot of doing. Brooke worked in marketing for a mid-sized company that sold wellness solutions, which meant they sold regular stuff, but with calmer fonts. She was good at her job. She could talk to anyone. She could make a spreadsheet sound like a lifestyle. I worked operations at a logistics company. Not exciting, but steady. The kind of job where you spend most days preventing small problems from becoming big ones. A lot of emails, a lot of meetings, a lot of people saying, "Quick question," like those are ever quick. We moved in together after a year and a half. It made sense on paper. We were always at each other's places anyway. She had too many plants to keep dragging around. I had a couch that wasn't trying to collapse. Also, rent in a decent part of town isn't getting cheaper, and love makes you brave about shared leases. The first few months were fine. We cooked together, mostly. We watched baseball, sometimes. She called it your sports thing, but she'd cheer if I cheered, which was something. Then the little patterns started. Not evil patterns, just convenient ones. Convenient for her. Like the fact that every time something needed fixing, her eyes would find me like a magnet. "Ethan, the Wi-Fi is being weird." "Ethan, my laptop is acting stupid." "Ethan, can you look at my car? It's making a sound." And I'm not some wizard. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a certified anything. I'm just a guy who knows how to Google, read instructions, and not panic when a screen flashes an error message. But once you fix something twice, you become the official person forever. It started small, then it grew. And the whole time, Brooke kept calling it support. Support is a nice word. Like teamwork. Like partnership. In reality, support started to look like me getting home from work, dropping my keys in the bowl, and immediately getting assigned a task like I clocked in for my second shift. One night, I came in late because a shipment got rerouted and my boss, Gary, panicked like the world was ending. Gary was the kind of man who said, "Circle back," like it was a personality. Nice enough guy, but every crisis was urgent until you fixed it, and then it was like it never happened. So I get home around 8:30, tie loosened, brain fried, and Brooke is sitting on the couch with her laptop open, looking offended. "Finally," she said, Not, hey, not long day. Just finally, like I'd been out joyriding. I was at work, I replied, stepping out of my shoes. Yeah, I know, she said, waving at her screen. But my presentation's tomorrow and my slides won't export right. It's doing that thing. That thing. What thing? She spun the laptop toward me. That thing where it freezes and then the little will shows up and you can't click anything. That's not a thing. That's just your computer struggling. Okay, so fix it, she said, like she just ordered fries. I stared at her for a second. Brooke, I haven't even eaten. You can eat after, she replied. And there it was. Not a fight, not even tension, just the assumption. Her work had priority. My hunger could wait. I didn't explode. I didn't give a speech. I just went to the kitchen, opened the fridge, stared at leftover chicken like it had answers, and then went back to her laptop because what else was I going to do? While I poked around in settings and ran updates, she scrolled her phone. So what did Gary do this time? She asked, not looking up. Reroute issue, I said. You should tell them to get their stuff together, she replied. Yeah, sure. I'll just stroll into the office and fix corporate logistics with a firm tone. 10 minutes later, her laptop was behaving. Not because I performed magic, but because I closed 14 tabs and freed up enough memory for it to breathe. See, I told her. Too many tabs. She rolled her eyes. I need those. You don't need a tab from 2019. It's important, she said, taking the laptop back like I was a service counter. Then she kissed my cheek. Thanks, babe. You're the best. The kiss worked the way it always did. It made me feel useful. And being useful can feel a lot like being loved if you don't pay attention. A couple weeks later, we were in the car heading to Kroger. It was one of those gray Ohio evenings where the sky looks like unseasoned soup. Brooke was in the passenger seat, scrolling and sighing like the internet was personally disappointing her. I just feel stuck, she said. The word stuck at my ear funny. Like a warning light. Stuck how? I asked. She made a face. Like I'm doing everything and nothing's moving. That was impressive, considering everything in our apartment included her laundry, sometimes making it into the hamper. What do you want to move? I asked, trying to stay calm. My career, she said. My life. I don't want to be here forever. We're not trapped, I said. We live in Columbus, not a bunker. She ignored that. You're so comfortable. Comfortable, I repeated, turning into the parking lot. Yeah, she said. You like routine. You like your little job. You like the same stuff. My little job pays the rent, I replied. She waved her hand. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying you don't want more. I want more sleep, I said. That count. She laughed, but it had an edge. See? That. You make jokes, and then nothing changes. We grabbed a cart, and inside the store, she kept talking like she was giving a TED Talk to someone who hadn't bought a ticket. I'm serious, Ethan. I feel like you don't push me. I push you plenty, I said, grabbing eggs. You push me into being your IT department. She shot me a look. That's not the same. What is the same? Then, I asked. Because from where I'm standing, I'm doing a lot. You always make it about you, she snapped. That sentence landed hard, mostly because it was backwards. I looked around to make sure nobody was listening. An old guy in a Browns hoodie was comparing cereal boxes like his life depended on it, so we were clear. Brooke, I said quietly, I'm not trying to fight in aisle 7. Then stop being defensive, she said. Defensive. Another nice word. We got home, and the argument died the way our arguments usually died. Not with resolution, but with fatigue. She went to shower. I unloaded groceries, and nothing got solved. But the little pattern kept growing. Every bill reminder? Somehow it ended up with me. Hey, the electric thing is due, she'd say, walking past me like she'd just read the weather. Okay, I'd reply. Did you pay your part? She'd blink. I thought you handled it. Handled it. Like it was a dog that needed walking. Whenever her mom called with a question, Brooke would put her on speaker and look at me. Ethan knows, she'd say. Her dad needed help setting up a new phone. Ethan can talk you through it. Her friend needed a ride to the airport because Brooke forgot. She agreed. Guess who got volunteered? At some point, I stopped being a boyfriend and started being the quiet infrastructure under her life. The part you only notice when it breaks. The breakup happened on a Tuesday. Not a romantic day. Just Tuesday. The day that smells like office carpet and people microwaving fish. Brooke came home earlier than usual. I could tell because I heard the door and then her heels clicking fast, like she was late to a decision. She didn't even take her coat off. "What's going on?" I asked from the kitchen, where I was reheating leftovers and trying to convince myself that adulthood was fine. "We need to talk," she said. Of course we did. She marched into the living room like it was a conference room, and I followed, holding my plate like a shield. Brooke stood near the window, arms crossed, eyes sharp. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "What is this?" I asked. She exhaled like she was tired of explaining gravity. "This relationship. This dynamic." "Okay," I said. "What dynamic?" You're always there," she said. And somehow she made that sound like a complaint. "That's usually how relationships work," I replied. "Two people present." She glared. "Don't be cute." "I'm not being cute," I said. "I'm being confused." Brooke took a breath, then fired. "You're getting in the way of my life." That exact sentence, straight out of her mouth, like she'd practiced it in the car. And my brain did something weird. It didn't panic. It didn't plead. It just went quiet. Because a lot of things suddenly made sense. "You really think I'm in your way?" I asked. "Yes," she said, quick. Too quick. Like the answer was loaded and ready. "Ow," I asked. "Name it." You expect things," she said. "You expect me to check in. You expect me to be considerate. You expect me to treat you like an adult." I interrupted. Her eyes flashed. "There. See? That tone. You always talk down to me." "No," I said, setting my plate on the coffee table. "I talk to you like you live here. Like this is shared." Brooke shook her head. "I need space. I need to focus on me." "Okay," I replied. That surprised her. You could see it. She expected negotiation. She expected me to argue, to scramble, to offer changes. Instead, a nod came out of me like she'd asked if I wanted my receipt. "Okay," I repeated. She blinked. "That's it. What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Block the doorway with my body?" That sounds like a lot of effort. "God," she muttered. "You're impossible." "Sure," I said. That made her madder. "You don't even care," she snapped. A laugh slipped out this time. Not a happy laugh. Just a dry one. "Brooke, I'm standing here watching my relationship get tossed like a bag of old clothes. Ikare. I'm just not begging." She stared at me like I'd broken the script. Then she turned, marched to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag that wasn't even fully zipped, and started stuffing random things into it like she was speedrunning independence. I didn't follow her around the apartment. I didn't ask where she was going. She wanted space. Great. Space coming right up. At the door, she threw the last line over her shoulder like a mic drop. "You're in the way, Ethan." "I can't breathe." Another dramatic phrase. She loved those. A nod was all she got. A calm one. And then the door clicked shut. That evening, the apartment did something I hadn't heard in a long time. It got quiet. Not lonely quiet. Not sad quiet. Just calm. Like a room after someone stops talking over the movie. Her key was still on my keyring because of course it was. She'd given it to me with a big grin months ago, like it meant something permanent. I stood by the kitchen counter, unclipped it, and set it in the junk drawer with batteries and a tape measure. Next, the mug. Brooke had this white mug with Queen printed on it in gold letters. She drank out of it every morning like it was an identity. I picked it up, held it for a second, and felt absolutely nothing. No nostalgia, just ceramic. The mug went into a cabinet, far back. Not in a dramatic burn all her stuff way. Just out of the way, like she wanted. On the couch, my phone buzzed. A text from my friend Nate. "Nate, you alive?" "Me, barely." "Why?" "Nate, because you missed the group chat roast of Gary's new haircut. That's how I know something's wrong." "Me." Brooke moved out. 3 dots popped up instantly. "Nate, oh, Nate, wanting to come over." "Me, not tonight." "Nate, okay, but if you start talking to houseplants, I'm calling for help." That made me smile. The smile stayed. Not because I was fine, because it felt good not to be performing sadness for someone. I ate my reheated leftovers in silence and realized something I hadn't realized in 2 years. The quiet was peaceful. The next day, reality showed up with a clipboard. Our joint grocery delivery subscription was still active. The one Brooke insisted on because it saves time, which was true if you don't count the time I spent fixing the app when her phone forgot her password. It was under my email. It used my card. The shared part was mostly theoretical. So I canceled it. Click. Done. Then the bills. Internet, electric, water. A couple were in my name, a couple were in hers, and a couple were in the we'll figure it out later zone, which is where adult responsibilities go to die. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and started moving things. Accounts got updated. Autopays got cleaned up. Shared services turned into mine. Her name came off where it needed to come off. Not out of spite, out of sanity. Because here's the thing. For a long time, I'd been the free technical support for her life. The guy who remembered passwords. The guy who knew when the car registration was due. The guy who could just handle it. And I was done handling it. Not because I wanted her to suffer. Because I wanted to stop bleeding time for someone who called me an obstacle. At work, Gary poked his head in my office around noon. "You good?" he asked. Gary asking that was like a vending machine asking how your childhood was. Rare, but it happens. "Yeah," I said, just adjusting. He stepped in, shut the door halfway, and lowered his voice like we were talking secrets. "Breakup?" "Yep." Gary winced. "Oof. Sully, man." "It happens," I replied. Gary nodded slowly, then said, "If you need to take a day, take a day. Don't make it weird. Just take it." That was Gary's version of empathy. It wasn't poetic, but it was real. Later, my coworker Tasha leaned against my doorway with a coffee the size of a small aquarium. "You got that single guy who will start meal prepping vibe today," she said. A laugh came out. "Is that what I'm giving?" "Yep," Tasha replied. "Either that, or he's about to buy a mountain bike." "Neither," I said. "Maybe I'm just tired." Tasha nodded, like she understood more than I said. "Well, if you need distraction, we're doing Trivia Friday. Come embarrass yourself." "Depends," I replied. "Is it normal trivia or the kind where someone knows every capital of every country?" Tasha grinned. "Both. Keith is a menace." "Then I'll come for the social humiliation," I said. "That's the thing people don't tell you about breakups. The world keeps offering you normal moments like nothing happened. Someone makes a joke. Someone invites you out. And you either take it or you drown in your own head. So I took it. A few days passed. No dramatic texts. No late-night calls. Just silence from Brooke. Which, honestly, felt like a gift. By day 5, the apartment was settling into a version of itself that didn't include constant requests. Nobody asking, "Can you grab almond milk?" at 9:58 p.m. Nobody handing me a phone like, "It won't connect," while they keep scrolling. Nobody turning my stress into their inconvenience. Saturday morning, I went to the gym for the first time in a while. Not because I wanted to become some inspirational poster. Because I needed something that was mine. The gym smelled like rubber and determination. The front desk guy, Jamal, looked up and squinted. "Well, look who decided to pay rent again," Jamal said. "Nice to see you too," I replied. Jamal leaned forward. "Where you been?" "Life," I said. He nodded. "Life's rude." "Yeah," I said. "Life doesn't even apologize." Behind me, some guy dropped weights like he was making a point to the universe. Jamal slid me a towel. "Go hit something." In a healthy way. That was the plan. After the gym, I stopped at the grocery store. Not the delivery app. The actual store. I grabbed chicken, rice, veggies, boring grown-up stuff. In the frozen aisle, I ran into my neighbor, Mrs. Delaney, who lived 2 doors down and somehow knew everything that happened in our building without ever leaving her apartment. She pushed her cart slowly, like she had nowhere to be, which was the real luxury. "Well," she said, looking me over. "Just you today?" "Just me," I replied. She nodded knowingly. "I thought I heard footsteps leaving fast last week." "Probably did," I said. Mrs. Delaney leaned in like she was about to share classified information. "That girl had loud shoes. Cute, but loud." "Accurate," I replied. She tapped the side of her cart. "You doing okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Actually." Mrs. Delaney smiled. "Good. Peace is underrated. People chase excitement and forget peace pays better." Then she rolled away like a fortune cookie with a driver's license. On day 7, Brooke finally popped back into my life. A text came through while I was eating dinner. "Brooke, hey, can you help me? Everything is messed up. No, how are you?" No, imsuri. Just straight to the service request. I stared at it for a second, then set my phone down and finished chewing like a normal person. A minute later, another text. Brooke, my laptop won't connect, and I can't get into my accounts, and my card keeps declining on stuff. So the freedom was going great. I picked up the phone, typed, deleted, typed again. The reply that came out was short, simple, and honest. Me, I'm not in anyone's way anymore. That's not what I wanted to say at first. At first, I wanted to write a paragraph. Not mean one, just a detailed list of all the times I've been taken for granted. But paragraphs invite debate. Short lines end conversations. 3 minutes later, she sent a voice note. I listened. First 10 seconds were irritation. Ethan, seriously? Don't do this. I'm not asking for a whole thing. I just need you to. Then her tone shifted. You could hear it. Like her confidence tripped over something real. I can't get into my email. It's locked me out. And my electric bill is due, and I don't remember the login because it was on your. She stopped, inhaled, tried to sound annoyed again. And I have work stuff. So can you just help me like a normal person? A normal person. Like normal people exist solely to fix your problems. I didn't respond immediately. I washed my plate. I wiped the counter. I did everything slowly on purpose. Then I texted back. Me, you told me I was in the way of your life. I took you seriously. A minute later, another voice note. Softer. Okay, I said that, but I didn't mean it like that. Like that. Like she didn't mean the words she chose. I typed back. Me, how did you mean it? That question sat there like a weight. She didn't answer for 10 minutes. Then, Brooke, I just needed space. Me, you've got it. Brooke, you're being cold. Meh, no, I'm being consistent. The typing bubbles appeared, stopped, appeared again. Brooke, fine. Whatever. I'll figure it out. And there it was. The big independent line. The one she wanted to believe. She followed it with, Brooke, but if you still have the passwords, can you at least send them? I almost laughed out loud. Meh, no. A few minutes later, a new message came in, and the tone was different. Not angry, not demanding, almost embarrassed. Brooke, okay, I am sorry. I'm just overwhelmed. I stared at that for a while. Not because it melted me, because it was the first honest sentence she'd sent. A call came through right after. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. Hey, I said. Her voice sounded smaller. So you're really not going to help? It depends what you mean by help, I replied. If you mean I talk you through how to reset your passwords like anyone could, sure. If you mean I become the guy who keeps your life running while you tell yourself you're free, no. Silence. Then, that's not fair. A sigh came out of me, slow. Brooke, what part isn't fair? You left. You told me I was an obstacle. Now the obstacle isn't here, and suddenly everything's falling apart. She snapped back, but it was weaker. It's not falling apart. It's just annoying. Adult life is annoying, I replied. Welcome. She tried to joke, like we were back to normal. Wow. Who are you? My dad. No, I said. My dad would have hung up already. That got a small laugh out of her, and for half a second, it felt familiar. Then she tried pressure. Ethan, I have deadlines. I can't be dealing with this stuff. Neither could I replied. But I did. I didn't ask you to, she said. That one made me sit up. Yes, you did. Every day. You just didn't call it asking. Silence again. Then the soft tone returned. I didn't realize how much you did. Yeah, I replied. That's usually the problem. She exhaled. So what now? Now you reset your email, I said. You call your bank. You set up your own autopace. And you learn that it's not space when someone else is doing the work behind you. She didn't like that, but she didn't fight it either. Can you at least tell me where the electric account is? She asked. It's online, I replied. There's a phone number on the bill. You know, I hate calling places. I hate being treated like a help desk, I said. We all have crosses. A tiny, bitter laugh from her. Okay, fine. And then, quietly, I thought you were holding me back. The honest part slipped out like she didn't mean to say it. My voice stayed even. No, I was holding things up. That call ended without a big goodbye. Just a click, and a weird calm settled in me again. Because for the first time, her problems weren't automatically my responsibility. Over the next few weeks, Brooke tried different angles like she was testing keys on a lock. Some days it was casual. Brooke, saw something that reminded me of you. The grocery store had those weird frozen burritos you like. Me, nice. Other days, it was heavier. Brooke, I miss having someone to talk to. Me, then talk to someone. Brooke, wow. Me, you wanted space. Space includes silence. Once she tried the guilt route. Brooke, I am struggling, Ethan. It would be nice if you cared. I stared at that text for a full minute before replying. Me, caring and carrying are different. I cared. I carried too much. That shut her up for a while. Meanwhile, my life started to function, not in a magical way, in a boring, steady way. And boring turned out to be a blessing. At work, I finished a backlog of tasks that had been sitting like dust. I stayed late a couple nights, not because I had to, but because I could. There was no one at home waiting to hand me a broken laptop like a baton. Gary called me into his office one afternoon. He leaned back in his chair, clasped his hands, and looked at me like he was about to announce a weather warning. So, he said, we're doing team lead restructuring. Okay, I replied. Gary nodded. You've been doing half the lead work already without the title. That's a polite way to say I've been getting played, I said. Gary actually laughed. Yeah, corporate loves a guy who quietly fixes things. Story of my life, I muttered. Gary slid a folder across the desk. We want to make it official. More responsibility, more pay. Not a fortune, but meaningful. I opened the folder and scanned. It was real. Dates, numbers, signature lines. A weird grin showed up on my face before I could stop it. Gary pointed at it. That reaction means yes? It means I'm reading to make sure there isn't a hidden clause where I also have to fix Keith's printer, I replied. Gary smirked. Keith's printer is a lost cause. Then yes, I said. Yes. When I walked out his office, Tasha was waiting like she'd been eavesdropping through the walls. Well, she asked. I lifted the folder slightly. Looks like I'm officially the guy who fixes things. Tasha grinned. Congrats. Try not to become insufferable. No promises, I said. Trivia night came. I went. I got destroyed by Keith's freak knowledge of world capitals. I laughed anyway. Nate met me at the bar afterward and clinked his soda against my glass. You look lighter, he said. Thanks, I replied. I've been eating chicken and sadness. Nate laughed. She reached out. Yeah, I said. A week after she left. Everything broke. Nate raised his eyebrows. Shocking. She wanted me to fix it, I added. Nate shook his head slowly. Man, he stopped himself, like he remembered not to overdo it. Ethan, dude, you were basically her unpaid assistant. Yeah, I said. I resigned. Nate nodded with satisfaction. Good. Let her learn what adult life costs. That's the part people avoid saying out loud. Not because it's mean, because it's true. Independence has a price tag. If someone else has been quietly paying it, you don't notice. About 3 weeks after the breakup, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me it was going to be either spam or drama. And honestly, I was curious which. Hello, I said. A nervous voice replied. Hi, is this Ethan? Yeah, I said. Who's this? It's Mia, the voice said. Brooke's friend. Of course it was. Mia and Brooke were close in that way, where they fed each other confidence and called it growth. Mia had always been polite to me, but it was the polite you give to someone you assume will always be around. What's up? I asked. Mia hesitated. This is awkward. Welcome to the club, I replied. She exhaled. Brooke is kind of spiraling. I didn't react to that word. Just waited. Mia continued. She's missing payments. She's late on stuff. She keeps calling people and asking if they know how to fix things. And she's saying you're being harsh. A laugh came out of me. Harsh. Okay. Mia Rashdin. I'm not taking sides. She said you canceled the delivery thing and changed accounts, and I didn't change her accounts, I said. I changed it, Mina. She's an adult. Mia went quiet for a second, then said, softer, yeah. Yeah. Told me Mia understood more than she wanted to admit. I don't know what you want me to do, I said. Mia hesitated. She misses you. Does she miss me? I asked, or does she miss what I did? Mia didn't answer right away. Then probably both. That was honest. I respected it. Tell her I'm not mad, I said. I'm just not available for that role anymore. Mia let out a breath. Okay, I will. Before she hung up, she added, For what it's worth, you always seemed like the only adult in that apartment. Then she was gone. I stood there in my kitchen, phone in hand, and felt something close to relief. Not because Brooke was struggling, because the story was finally being told out loud by someone other than me. A month after Brooke left, the coffee shop collision happened. That morning started normal. Alarm, shower, oatmeal that tasted like responsibility. I drove my not-fancy car downtown, parked in my usual spot, and walked to the coffee shop because I liked the routine. Inside, the barista, Zoe, with purple nails and a permanent expression of mild amusement, looked at me. "The usual?" she asked. "Yeah," I replied. "And whatever's cheapest that still tastes like something." Zoe smirked. "Bold request." While she made my drink, a voice behind me said my name. "Ethan." Turning around felt like opening an email you know is going to ruin your mood. Brooke stood there holding her cup. Hair done, makeup on, outfit sharp. She looked put together in the way she always looked put together. But her eyes didn't. "Hey," I said. She stepped closer, like she wasn't sure if I'd vanish. "Wow." "Wow what?" I asked. You look good," she said again, like she needed the line to work this time. "Thanks," I replied. "So do you." That was true. On the surface. She nodded, then stared at the floor, then back at me. "I didn't think I'd run into you." "It's a coffee shop in the neighborhood," I said. "Not exactly a safari." She almost smiled. Then her face fell again. Brooke's hand tightened around the cup. "Can we talk?" "We are talking," I replied. She swallowed. Actually talk." Zoe slid my coffee onto the counter like she was placing evidence. "Here you go." "Thanks," I said, then looked back at Brooke. "Talk." Brooke stood there, shifting her weight. "I didn't realize," she said. I kept quiet. She tried again. "I didn't realize how much you did. Like all the little things." "The little things," I echoed. Her eyes flicked up. "Don't do that." "Do what?" I asked. "Repeat your words back to you?" Brooke's jaw tightened. "I'm trying to be serious." "Okay," I replied. "Be serious." She inhaled, then said it, finally, in a tone that wasn't offensive. "I thought you were slowing me down." There it was. The core lie she told herself. Brooke continued, quieter. "And then you were gone, and I realized you weren't slowing anything down. You were making it lighter." That word hit. Lighter. Because it was accurate. She looked at me like she wanted me to rescue her from the consequences of her own sentence. "I was wrong," she said. "I was so wrong." People were walking around us, ordering drinks, living their lives. Brooke and I stood there in the middle of it like a pause scene. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel cruel. Mostly I felt calm. "That's a hard thing to learn," I said. Brooke nodded, eyes glossy but not dramatic. Just tired. It was. Everything costs time. Everything takes energy. She stopped and said it bluntly. "I didn't know how much I was leaning on you." "Yeah," I replied. She looked up. "So what now?" That question was heavy because it had hope in it. Not healthy hope. Convenient hope. A slow sip of coffee bought me a second. Then a small smile showed up. Not mean, not smug. Just real. "Honestly," I said, "I'm glad you figured it out." Her face softened like she expected a reunion. I continued, keeping my voice steady. "I just wish it didn't take my absence for you to see me as a person." Brooke flinched slightly. "I didn't mean to," she started. "I know," I cut in. "You didn't mean to. That's the scary part." She looked down. "I miss you." The air got quiet between us, even with the shop noise. "I miss who I was before I felt like a background service," I replied. "I don't miss the job." Brooke swallowed hard. "So you're done. Done with being in the way," I said. Her eyes lifted, full of regret now, not performance. "I really did think you were holding me back." A slow shake of my head. "No, I was holding everything together." She whispered, "And now it's heavy." "Yeah," I said. "It is." Brooke's fingers fidgeted around the cup. "I'm trying. I'm figuring it out. I'm paying things on time now. I reset all my stuff. I had to call customer service like 3 times, and I wanted to crawl into the trash." A short laugh escaped me. Customer service will humble anybody. She almost smiled through it. Then her expression sank again. "I deserved it." That line surprised me. "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe you just needed to learn it without a safety net." Brooke nodded slowly. "I didn't realize the net was you." Another pause. She looked at me one last time, like she was trying to memorize the version of me that wasn't available anymore. "I'm sorry," she said. "I believe you," I replied. "And?" she asked, barely audible. "A breath in, a breath out, and I'm okay," I said. "Better than okay." Brooke's shoulders slumped, and it wasn't dramatic. It was the kind of slump you get when you finally accept a truth you can't negotiate. "I'm glad," she said, voice thin. "I really am." I nodded, then gave her the cleanest ending I could. "Take care of yourself, Brooke," I said. "For real this time." She nodded, eyes wet, and stepped back like she didn't know where to put her hands. "Yeah, you too." Then she turned and walked away, slower than she'd left that Tuesday, like every step had weight now. And that was the lesson. Not some movie lesson where everyone learns and hugs and credits roll. A real one. She walked out of my life thinking she was removing an obstacle. Then she found out the obstacle wasn't me. It was the fact that adult life doesn't come with free technical support. As for me, that quiet apartment wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. And for the first time in a long time, nobody needed me to be a background service. I was just a guy with coffee in his hand, a job that finally saw what I was worth, and a life that felt lighter because I stopped carrying someone who called it space.